You're coming back, but it's a new entry level. Somebody's been here. On the Sigma hangout, we got a picture of you. On the Sigma hangout, we're on the entry level, taking a picture of you. It's not getting same. You gotta go on today. Come back tomorrow, rested, ready to go. Alright?
All right, guys, we have the legend. We do have Mateo on right now.
Woo! Welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
All right, brother. We are all on Zoom today. We have no other option. So let me spotlight you first, because the first time New Orleans had a snow 10 inches since 18 something.
It was
like some areas is 10-inch snow, some areas is 8-inch, so 8 to 10-inch average. So they don't have no equipment to do nothing. So everyone is stuck at home. Some of the guys are still figuring out a way to go to the store and get a job done. I think the perfect person to have on a call, because you guys just went through a crazy hurricane season, bounce back, finished the year with $2.2 million last year, right? Who can say that? Like when the whole city shut down from hurricane, you guys still showed up, finished the year with $2.2 million, when a lot of people would have given excuse not to get the job done. All right, guys, let's give it up to Mateo. He'll be doing the last leaders call for this month. Just to give you a framework, Mateo, we had Sebastian starting us, Be So Good You Can't Be Ignored theme. You're very familiar with Sebastian's work. You are working close to him. And last week, we had Granit talking about work ethic. I think he talks a lot about like the grind, the mentality. When I remember Mateo, it's a whatever it takes mentality. Whatever it takes mentality. I think that I've been known you for like over 7 years now, and then I think that's something that you live by. Every time I hear your story. So today we're going to start with your story, introduce you to the team, a lot of familiar faces. We have entry levels, we have leaders, we have 4 people, we have the whole office today. So let's start with your story, Mateo, and then we'll get into some Q&As.
Sweet. I appreciate it. First thing I want to say is that even though we're on Zoom, you guys aren't even in the office. You guys are dressed, ready to fucking go. You guys look sharp as shit, right? That's awesome. That's better than 98% of the other offices would have done anyway. So just want to show that's a sign of respect as well. So I want to make sure I do my best to, give you guys the same respect back. That's phenomenal. Obviously, Heshan, thanks, man. You've been kicking ass for a long time, ever since you opened. So my story is, I don't want to go too depth with it, because at the end of the day, I want to give you guys more time for Q&A. But to keep it simple, I was born in Croatia. There was a war in Croatia in 1995, so I was about 5 years old. I moved to Serbia. Then there was another war in Serbia, so it just fucking followed me everywhere. And then in about 2000, I moved to America when I was about 10 years old. I grew up in America, and in the hood, basically. And a lot of times you look back through a lot of things, and it's like everything my family built, they lost, and they restarted, and everything they built, they lost because they came to America and they restarted again. And there's 2 ways of looking at that. We could be a victim of our circumstances, or we can go out there and just say, well, I'm in the best country in the fucking world, and let me take advantage of what it has to offer. And I fluctuated back and forth, right? When things get tough, I want to be a victim. And when things are good, I'm like, okay, let's make sure we go through this. But I try to spend majority of my time in the mindset of, let me take advantage of what's going on and where I'm at, because people die trying to come here, right? With that being said, I started playing soccer when I was 14 years old, freshman year. By the time I was 17, I had in 3 years, I had 32 scholarships. I didn't even finish high school. I technically did, but I left. Didn't even go to the whole last semester. I was in Germany trying professional soccer out. That kind of gave me a lot of confidence to think I can go from people that have been playing since they were 4 or 5 years old to somebody that started playing soccer when they were 14. And I would just play as soon as I would get home until 10 o'clock at night, just working on my skill constantly. I realized that work ethic beats talent when talent fails to work. So they could be playing since they were 4 years old, but I'm training 6-7 hours a day. A day is going to make up for their training 1 hour a day throughout their whole entire career. I also watched my parents. We used to go to work from so they would go to work from 8 to 4, and they would come home and would clean offices from 6 to 10 as a family. That was our family night out, Monday through Friday. And then Saturday, Sundays, we would go mow lawns, clean offices, do construction, things of that sort. And my parents, you know, they're not like really wealthy, but they do pretty damn well for themselves. They rebuilt their house completely in Croatia. They own their house outright. They flipped 10 houses in America. And the reason being is because they were just good at saving. So my thing is, if they're able to have a decent life, better than majority of people in America, and they still don't speak a word of English, then what is my excuse, right? I speak the language. And, you know, so and to me, that's a huge advantage and privilege. Um, I started in the business in March of 2014 as an entry level position. I then moved to Jacksonville on a moving crew in July or June of 2014. So like a couple months later. My first 2 months, I didn't even give a shit. I was like, I'm going to England to work, so I'm just here to do sales. But you know, I heard an opportunity meeting, and obviously sounded too good to be true. And then I heard another one, and I saw people get promoted. And I was like, whoa, Turbo, like I want to be a part of this, right? So my family and my wife, who's my wife now, but at the time was a girlfriend, was like, all right, bro, like, do you? We're here when you need to come back. You know, like that shit's never gonna work. And it's funny because I just went to visit my parents, and I gave them another wad of cash. And since September, they keep it in this like weird like cookie box. You guys remember opening up those boxes and it's like yarns and shit? I'm sure you guys remember. That's where you're like, oh, I thought it was cookies, but it's like so much a bunch of cash. And my mom's like, how much do you think is in there? I'm like, I don't know, 10, 15 grand. She's like, there's $32,000. It's all the money you've given us in cash since, you know, I think September or whatever the case is. But that's the same people that were like, you can come home when you decide to quit because, you know, selling direct TV in Walmart's is not, you know, going to make you a lot of money. So I literally a year from the day that I started, a year later, I got promoted to ownership. My first 9 months, I promoted an outside deal. My first 2.5 years, I technically hit consultant, but the way that I hit it, I didn't get promoted until about close to 3 years. And that's it, really. I don't know.
Stop you there. That's the fastest ever promotion to consultant, if I'm right?
It was one of the fastest promotions to consultant. Yes. First ever organic retail consultant. And the second one was for Reed. And I got promoted in 2018. Yeah. So like, that's how crazy I got promoted in like 2017 or 18. So yeah.
That's amazing. I think I remember meeting you first time in Sebastian's office when I was assistant manager.
I remember you took me to the airport.
Yeah, exactly. I dropped you at the airport and we were chopping it up. One of the biggest things that every time I talk to you is you just have that whatever it takes mentality. Like you will do anything. It doesn't matter. I think I remember you were talking about probably 2 months call before. You started doing the cold showers at 4 a.m. in the morning or 5 a.m. in the morning. Let's walk you through your routine. Now you're a father. You're not you're just a husband anymore, right? You have more responsibilities in your plate. But more responsibilities you take, more money you make, you still decide to be disciplined. Walk me through that.
So it's funny that you say that because last night I pulled basically an all-nighter. I had insomnia, and then my kid woke up from 1 to 5, and I don't know if he had nightmares or what, but he's 2.5 years old, and and he just wouldn't stop crying, and you know it is what it is. And I had a decision to make. I could easily say I'm not coming in. I have like 30 people here. I got 3 assistant managers. Like it's easy for me to be like, oh, you know, my wife can take them to the school and I'll just go to sleep. You can probably see my eyes right now. Or like, you know, I came in, same thing, ran a good meeting, brought a ton of energy. And somebody asked my wife, they're like, oh my God, is Mateo always this energetic? And my wife goes, what Mateo are you talking about? Like he's doesn't have this level of energy at home at all. Besides, obviously, when my kids are around, I put an effort to play with them. But the person I am now is not really the person I am realistically. Like I used to be the guy that's outgoing and let's go out for drinks. I'm the guy that would just love to watch soccer games all night now and day and just hide away from people, right? However, like I just tell my guys, like this is my job. My job is to bring energy. Like that's what I get paid for. Same thing when I was in the field. Like I fucking, excuse my language, I cuss sometimes. I don't mean to, but I do. I hate the smiling and be like, hey, how you doing, right? But I understood like the more I smiled, the more I got paid. So essentially I was getting paid for smiling, right? And having a good attitude. And that's something I was terrible at, is having a good attitude. I just, you know, was negged out half the day, but try to fix it. Anyway, so Hey Sean, one of the biggest things that I look for, obviously in our business, it's it's like this sometimes. Hopefully, though, it's like the stock market, it keeps going like this, right? Um, but with that being said, it's like it's ups and downs, and you know, we're human. I never really felt like I ever used to get complacent. Now I catch myself getting a little complacent. However, before I used to think I would go 0 to 100, right? Okay, you know what? I'm so upset at myself. I got complacent for a couple of weeks or a month. I'm gonna start going back to the gym. I'm gonna start a strict diet. I'm going to start getting to the office at 7 a.m. I'm gonna do this, and it was just overwhelming, and it was not sustainable whatsoever, right? You could do it for 4, 5, 6 days, and then your body is just giving up on you. So, Heshan, what I typically do is if I need to improve in any aspect of my life, like I got to be, I got to bring more energy around my kids and be a better dad. I've got to be a better husband. I've got to be a better business owner. I've got to be whatever. The first thing that I do instead of trying to work on that department is I work on myself. Okay. So, for example, like if my business is inconsistent or I see it's starting to go on a downward trend, I don't go in there and I'm like, I'm going to just focus on business. I focus fully on myself. Right. And what I mean by that is like you said, I do the hot, cold showers in the mornings. I go for a walk in the mornings. I, start exercising, going to the gym. I push my boundaries in the sauna. Excuse my language, but I try to beat that little bitch voice out of me, right? Because the last thing I want to do is take a cold damn shower. Like I hate it. There's no time in my life where I'm like, this is exciting. Time to switch to cold, right? Like I hate it. It's like I hate waking up at 5 a.m. But the moment my wife goes like, how do you not get dizzy getting out of bed that fast? And I'm like, because if I don't, then I'll lay around for 15, 20 minutes on Instagram. So I have to. Like it's not like I'm excited to do it. It's just like I have to do it. That's it. It's a must for me. So yeah, if I ever want to increase productivity, I then work on myself because then I have more energy, I have more confidence, I don't fall for excuses, and I'm like, this is it. Now you're gonna get the best version of me, and the best version of me is gonna be beneficial for the business. So
Nice, I love it. We're gonna have some fun questions and we're gonna shift the gears after that. What is the nicest thing that you bought yourself last year?
the nicest thing I bought, I bought a Bentley, and then after that I bought a Porsche. Like I bought a brand new Porsche, it's pretty badass. Just a sports car. I justified saying I bought it for my wife, but we share it, you know what I mean? So, actually, what was kind of cool is like we go to England every year, and like me, my wife, and you got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old all in first class, like with the sleep seats that you fully sleep, those international flights are. That's a cool experience. Like my kid's first ever flight that he's not a lap child. So before it was all lap child flight, we fly a lot, but he was always in my wife's lap because I don't have the patience. But it's his first ever where he gets his own seat, and it was first class there and back, and I thought that was kind of a cool experience, to be able
That's
to
amazing. That's amazing.
this spoiled little fucker. Yeah.
That's amazing. So let's walk back. Did you ever thought that you're gonna buy a Bentley and a Porsche when you were in the field taking notes and selling direct TVs in a Walmart?
No, no, but I knew I would do big things, but to me, that wasn't like a priority. To me, it was like, hey, so the way I look at a business and any business, but specifically this one, like take advantage of the shit, right? So if I have the ability to make $1 million, like why wouldn't I make $1 million? Like we all talk about when we do interviews, like, oh, well, why do you want to get in sales? It's uncapped commission. I determine my own paychecks, this and that. But it's like, there's people that actually live that shit, like I feel like I live 80% of it. Like when I first started, dude, I was like, why would I make $800 when I'm capable of making $1,600? When I got to ownership, why would I make $250,000 when I'm capable of making $850,000? Right? Like if I have the ability, why not maximize on it? But like a story like that is, I remember I bought a Rolex, right? And not to brag, but now I have like 3 or 4 Rolexes and a bunch of nice watches. But the first time I bought one, I took my dad out to dinner to the steakhouse, and my wife was there, and we had our little guy. So he's now almost 4.5, but he was a little baby. My mom but anyways, we're sitting there, and so I do this thing where it's like I piss my parents off by spending money on cool shit that they would never ever do, right? So it's like I'll buy a crazy bottle of wine, and they're like, "What is wrong with you? Like, why would you buy that? Like, what?" Because to them, it's like money is so scarce, right? Like you work so hard for money, right? So like I go to my dad and I'm like, "Hey, look, Dad, you know, how much you think this watch was?" And my mom, she gets so annoyed. She goes, "I bet you spent $600 or something crazy like that on that watch, right?" And it was $15,000. And I go, "It's $15,000." And my mom's all like, "What is wrong with you? Why would you do that?" Like this and that. And my dad goes, "Let him. If he can do it, we've instilled good character in him. He knows how to, he knows if he can buy the watch or not. Let him do it." And I look at him and I go, "Dad, remember when we moved to America? Did you ever think that your kid will be wearing a $15,000 watch?" And he just, I don't really see my dad cry very much, but you can just see tears coming down. He's like, "Son, I never thought this was possible." Right. So it's like, it's just like you said, it's the reason I wasn't able to dream about the Bentleys and the Porsches and stuff is because I didn't know people with Bentleys and Porsches. But when you start making money, you start surrounding yourself with people like my neighborhood. This guy's got his and her Ferrari for 488. Like, the fuck? I look at my wife and I'm like, "Oh fuck, we got to get a Ferrari. We got to get matching Ferraris." Like, that's crazy, right? Like, that's how the point of our life I want to get to eventually.
Keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, I will keep up with the Joneses, dude. But to me, like, dude, I lived in a $107,000 house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I grew up in. Yeah, so I didn't know. That wasn't a thing.
I love it. Mateo, let's go back to sales reps. I think we have a lot of entry levels here, a lot of leaders or a lot of new leaders. What separates a high performer from an average performer? I'm not talking about a low performer, every office has some low performers complaining, nagging, and you gotta get rid of them. I'm talking about the mid ones and the top ones.
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's three components in my opinion. Okay. So effort is one of them. I'm just writing it down. I don't know why. Effort's one of them. Now, what does effort look like? You got to be the hardest working person in the room. That's it. Like, it is cool to work hard. It is cool to go out there and get your ass kicked. It is cool to make a bunch of money. It is cool to be on top of the board. Like, that is cool. When I look at effort, I look for somebody with a great student mentality, right? I look for somebody that's going to go home and study on product knowledge. Like, what are some cool features about the new S25 that's coming out? What are some cool features about this? Like, so that way I can, let me learn to pitch. Like, just effort. Like, pitch every single person. Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work, right? And so how am I putting more effort than everybody else? So I'll give you guys an example of me that's separated in terms of effort. So most people think 30 minutes a day is really nothing. And if you think about it, I mean, what is 30 minutes a day? But I'll give you an example. So I used to pack my own lunch, just handheld stuff like sandwich, like walnuts, bananas, chips, whatever, right? Just handheld. But I would just drive straight to my store and I would eat it, right? It's fine. I wouldn't stop anywhere. I would eat it. It saved me money, but this is the compounding effect, no matter how you look at it, whether it's saving money or time. So I would get to the store at least an hour before any single person would ever get to my store. And I typically got first blood because everybody's at fast food restaurants getting food. So I'd get first blood, but let's just say 30 minutes. What's 30 minutes? Nothing, but 30 minutes a day is 2.5 hours a week, right? 2.5 hours a week is 10 hours a month. 10 hours a month, right, is now 10 hours a month is 120 hours a year that I spent more time pitching people. That's it. That shit adds up. Now, same thing would happen. They would go grab their long ass 1 hour plus lunch break. I would do 30 minutes, right? Maybe, because I already ate. So I'm just kind of doing I did this thing where I called San, my wife, who was in England. We're in different time zones. So I was spending 15 times on 15-minute designated time every day, 15 minutes before she went to bed with her. And then, whatever. I need just chill out for 15 minutes. But everybody spent an hour. I spent 30 minutes on it. So now, because I drove straight to the store and I ate my lunch, that's 30 minutes. I'm now not taking an hour lunch break. I'm taking 30 minutes. Well, now that combined is an extra hour. So that's 120 times 2. But then I was like, you know what? Let me just work an extra 30 minutes longer, right? Again, now I'm doing 360 more hours a year than your average person. So people are like, well, how did you get promoted in a year? That 360 more minutes is a lot more time, or 360 more hours is a lot more time than your average person spent in the field, on top of me being super intentional, pitching every single person, because I was terrified to leave the table. I'm like, dude, if I leave, the LOA say my next customer's walking in soon, right? And then on top of working a Tuesday and or a Wednesday, right? So it's like, well, I got to ownership in a year because I put in what you would typically put in 2 or 3 years. I just condensed it in 1 year. Does that help answer the question at all?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. So that's
okay. So that's the effort aspect of things.
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
going there.
The second thing is your attitude. I struggled with this, but I work on this all the time. Your attitude determines your altitude. Okay. So at the end of the day, I have this little thing here. Attitude equals 100%. Knowledge is 96%, and hard work. You can be the hardest working person with all the knowledge, but if you're going out there with a piss poor attitude, expecting to roll, thinking nobody wants to talk to me, nobody wants to sign up with me, you're never going to be successful. So your mindset and your attitude are number 2. So effort and attitude. And the last thing is consistency. Just be consistent with your actions. Now, like consistent habits equal consistent results. Consistent actions equal consistent results. Yes, they do. So if I'm consistently eating pizza, the result I'm going to get is the fucking same thing as consistently eating pizza, like just the same result. But if I'm consistently showing up on time, if I'm consistently prepared, if I'm consistently working a full day, if I'm consistently pitching everybody, I will get the outcome of consistent results. So don't mistake hard work with busy work. It's a huge difference, right? Because I can go to the gym for 4 hours. Heshan can go for 40 minutes. I can be taking a nap. They're like, damn, bro, you worked for 4 hours? Well, I was at the gym for 4 hours. Okay, I didn't work out for 4 hours. Heshan crushed it for those 40 minutes. In 3 to 6 months, you're going to see huge results in Heshan. And even like Mateo is the same, right? Even though I put a ton of, so it's not about the hours that you put in, it's what you put into those hours. Okay, that's my 3 things.
So effort, attitude, and consistent. That's what you see in high performers.
For sure. Like just desire to win, dude. Like I think that's part of the effort. Desire to win. Like my name's attached to this. Like I don't want to be in the fucking bottom of the board.
Love it. All right, guys, last 5 minutes. I'm going to open up some Q&As. Anyone do have questions? You can unmute yourself. Entry levels.
Yeah, I got a
Go ahead.
couple questions, 2-part questions for you.
Light you, Remy. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Remy.
All right. Yeah. So, hello, my name's Remy. Very nice to meet you. Appreciate you coming and talking to us here. 2 questions. One is, how many people are under your team?
So right now, well, just in my office alone, I have about 35 people in my office.
35.
Yeah, my organization about 110. We got 10 offices.
Okay. And how many of those are assistant managers?
3 of them are assistant managers.
Okay. And all right, well that was the main question. And then question number 2 was who's your GOAT team and player for soccer? And that's it.
So I'm just a big I'm a huge Premier League fan. So like for example, every time I go to England in the winters, I just try to go as many games. Like I went to Crystal Palace and Arsenal, and then I went to Tottenham and Liverpool. I do like Liverpool because when you go to the stadium there, they're good fans. Like the atmosphere is amazing. So my next thing I'd like to watch is Barcelona versus Real Madrid and Inter Milan versus AC Milan. That's my I'm actually running a competition for my org. Anybody that's over $1 million will get to go do those things.
Very nice. Awesome. All right, man. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
All right. You have anyone else?
I got a question.
Go ahead, brother. DJ?
Yeah, so you say you played soccer, like your background. Do you think like your athletic background like helped you a lot in like the sales industry?
For sure. Like whenever I interview people, I'm like, what, they played a sport. I'm like, what did it teach you? Right? What did it teach you? Like, well, it taught me discipline. Great. That's what you need. Right? It taught me. So like, think about this, dude. Did you play a sport?
Yeah, so I played college football. Yeah.
Okay. So, think about this. Remember those 3 days?
Yeah.
Were you excited to be like, oh, it's 6 a.m. First one, let's go get our ass kicked. And then a noon one, and then a fucking 5 o'clock. No, but you freaking did it. Same thing happens here. Like, you're not going to be super excited every time to go to the field. You're not going to be super motivated, but it's the discipline that kicks in. You still win. You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you not a single player on that team was like, yes, but you did it for the reward of the game. Like, you get to play in the game. You get to play in the big match. Same thing. You do this because you get to eventually get promoted to the, branch manager and ownership position. Like, that's it. So, like, this is the practice time that you have to put in. I was never excited to wake up at 5 a.m. to go run 3 miles, to then do the the beep test. I hated that shit. Right, to do all that stuff. And the worst thing about these, and I'm sure you remember this, the worst thing about these freaking practices is, out of all of those, maybe twice a week you got a scrimmage in, right? It's mostly just a little shit like, oh my God, bro, what are we, 5th graders? Like, why are we doing the basic stuff? Why are we doing this? Why are we just doing conditioning? Like, why are we doing this? Oh, now we get the scrimmage, and it's like, I can't feel a single muscle in my body. And I'm, you know what I mean? I'm still excited for it. So it's the same thing. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you, like, get your ass kicked, it teaches you a winning mindset. Like, no coach ever said to you, hey, what is it, DJ?
Yeah, you call me DJ. Yeah.
DJ, hey DJ, this team's gonna be better than us. Let's go get our asses kicked, right? We're gonna lose this game, but nobody's ever said that. Hey, we're the underdogs. It's okay to be the underdogs, right? Because hard work beats talent. So they might think they got us, but if we just outwork them, we got this shit, right? And they're like, oh fuck, okay, well let's go out there and try it. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a huge thing in my opinion. But any type of competitiveness, anything you did competitive, like competitive dance, like competitive chess, anything that you're like, it's me against whoever, like, for sure, you got to be competitive.
All right. I have a question.
Papa?
Yes, sir.
All right, Papa is actually from Orlando, Mateo.
Yes, sir. What's up, Mateo? Nice to meet you, brother. First of all, like, you being as successful as you are, I heard that you have 2 children, 2 and 4. So I just wanted to know, like, a few pointers, like key action items for you to balance that time between the kids and actually, like, work.
Yeah, for sure. So, there's a couple of things. So number one is, do you have children? There we go. Right. So that is adorable, right? And congratulations.
Thank you.
So to me, the way I look at it is, let me put the work in now, because they're gonna need you more as time goes on, right? Like, they're gonna need you more present when they're 4. They're gonna need you more present when they're 6, especially when they're freaking teenagers. Oh, excuse me, dude, I just cussed around a kid. But when they're teenagers, right? When they're teenagers, like, you've got to be present, okay? You've got to be able to do these things. So it's like, to me, it's like, you got to put the work in now, get to the position where you're able to have the time to spend with them, because you choose to do so. Now, you get to do that because, like, yeah, I'll take you out of school. Like, that's it. I'll take you out of school. We'll go do a, daddy-daughter day, daddy-son day, whatever the case is. It's all good. We'll go on vacation and stuff. So, like, we'll have your college fund set up. So a lot of things that I do for my future. Okay. So, like, my first 2 years, I made a great, and I'm not trying to brag, but I made a lot of money. I was living in an $840 apartment, right? Split that with a roommate. So imagine how terrible that place is. You're from Orlando. $840 for a bedroom.
Yeah.
Too bad. It's
yeah,
not
Samarin.
right? Exactly. Actually, we were, yeah, right. John Young. So it wasn't great, right? But anyways, it's like, I was setting it up for the future because everybody wants instant gratification. The second thing I would advise, and look, I'm no expert by any means on this, but it all comes down to, hey, it's quality over quantity. So, like, I come home sometimes and I'm updating the board, right? Or I'm, doing this and I'm just on my phone. Sometimes it's working, but my phone's a distraction. Sometimes it's Instagram. Sometimes it's whatever, because you get distracted. And I take my phone and I put it away. I'm like, dude, what am I doing? Like, I only have a few hours with these kids. Like, I only have maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe this, maybe that. Like, I get to give them a bath. I don't have to give them shit, right? Like, I get to do that. Like, my wife's like, they're going to be, soon enough, you're not going to be able to do that. And then the next thing, Papa, I want to tell you is something I was told or I heard or whatever, but like, it means a lot when you need to hear it, right? Because, like, you heard it maybe 10,000 times, but it's like, okay, so, when you're tired and you're exhausted and you're not fully present, right? We all are. And same thing in our relationships. Same thing. This goes for children, girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives. Imagine you're 80 years old or 90 or 100, whatever, and you're in your deathbed. And this is the only moment that you ever get to go back to. You get 30 minutes of this moment right now. Would you be in a terrible mood? Would you be on your phone? Would you be distracted? Would you be 100% present? Right? And like, get on your knees and play with your kids and wrestle around, whatever the case is, right? Even though you don't want to, but if that's the only moment you got, that's what you would do. So I try to remind look, I'm not perfect by any means, dude, by any means, right? I try to work on myself all the time because you know, I'm like a 6 out of 10 on a finished product. But I try to remind myself of those times when I do catch myself on the phone. It's just in the back of my head, right? I'm like, oh shit, I gotta put that away. Let me be present. So, you know, that's the 3 things: is set yourself up now so you're good in the future. Number 2 is quantity versus quality. Just because you're there doesn't mean you're present. And number 3, think to yourself, if I'm 90, 100 years old, I'm on my deathbed, this is the only moment I get to come to. Am I really, really living the moment in the moment?
Got it. Thank you.
Of course.
Mateo, I want to respect your time. It's 11:03. Let's finish it off. Probably gonna see you, but in 2 weeks you'll be in New Orleans. Yeah, 2 weeks you'll be in New Orleans. So I can grab a drink with you.
Oh, yeah.
Quickly. Before I get there, give me one quote that you live by, and we'll close it off today.
Oh, well, I've been throwing quotes at you guys the whole time, you know? So one quote that I like to live by is no single raindrop ever blamed itself for the flood. And actually, no single snowflake would ever blame itself for the blizzard you guys got, right?
Oh,
but
yeah.
every single one had a part to do with it, which means like success comes down to the accumulation of decisions you make on a daily basis. Okay, it's simple as that. Like you have decision A and decision B. So that's what success comes down to, just trying to make more right decisions than the wrong ones. So one of them would be hitting snooze versus getting up on time. Another one would be, you know, having my clothes and meal ready before I go the night before. Little things, right? All that shit adds up. And before you know it, it determines whether you're gonna be successful or not, or how fast you will be. So your decisions, or those snowflakes that are falling, or the raindrops, just make sure that the majority of them are the right decision.
Right. Thank you so much, Mateo, guys. Unmute yourself. Give some love to Mateo.
Thank you so much.
That was fire,
I
Mateo.
appreciate you guys.